My money, yes or no?
No.
Tomorrow,
Hubba, hubba, hubba.
get ready to root for the bad guy. Mel Gibson,
They weren't wearing their seatbelts.
Payback, rated R. Starts tomorrow in theaters everywhere.
Hello, welcome back to Almost Cult Classics, the podcast. Joe Ramone here with my friend and co-host Ryan Lancello.
Howdy, folks.
Today we're back at 1999 after a break, one episode break.
Yeah.
We've taken it back to that year to talk about Payback, directed by Brian Helgeland. This is a adaptation of the novel The Hunter by Richard Stark, which had previously been made into a movie called Point Blank.
Pseudonym for Donald Westlake.
Mm-hmm. A very prolific crime thriller writer who we've talked about before. We've done some movies that connect to this, especially our Tarantino book episode. He did a whole chapter on The Outfit, which is another adaptation of one of these Stark novels. So we're going to talk a little bit about the novels, but also the other adaptations. You watched all of them, I believe, right?
There's a couple I didn't. Apparently, Jean-Luc Godard did an adaptation made in the USA, which is like a very, like, it's loose is...
An unofficial
kind of. Yeah, and I heard it's, like, sucks. I didn't watch that. There was another French film I didn't see. I forget what it's called, Mise à Sac, I think, or something. And I couldn't find Slayground with Peter Coyote.
Yeah.
Which I wanted to watch. It's a stupid title, but I like Peter Coyote, but I couldn't find it, so I didn't see that. But otherwise, yes, I watched every Parker adaptation, and only one of them is he actually Parker, which is the film Parker.
Which was made, I think that's the only one of these movies made after Westlake died. So there was a little bit more flex. He was very protective over the Parker name. He didn't care about adapting his books, but he did not want these movies to alter, the biography he had written for this character.
Which is weird, because after Point Blank, which was the first adaptation, right?
I think there was like a couple of those, like you're talking about, like maybe like unofficial adaptations before then.
But I heard in some subsequent reprintings, they changed The Hunter, like the title, to Point Blank.
It makes sense. I mean, because The Hunter's such a basic kind of title.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean,
as opposed to Point Blank, which is...
He wrote like... I'm not going to count all of them, but there's like 20 of them, I think, and he wrote them all up to his death in 2008. So he was still writing these books, and that's the thing. I read the first two books because we had a little bit of time. We were doing this. We had a tech issue. My computer broke, so while I was getting that sorted, I said I'm going to read the second book, which is the only one I think hasn't been adapted of these early Parker novels, because the whole thing deals with him getting a new face.
Right.
It's called The Man with the Getaway Face. So I guess it's just hard to like adapt But it kind of makes sense if you consider like The Outfit and Point Blank take place in the same universe. It would make sense because he would have changed his face by that point.
For sure.
So maybe, that counts. But yeah, we previously talked about The Outfit on that episode, and I think we even talked. I watched Point Blank for that discussion, I remember, but I did revisit it for this.
I did too. I hadn't. I mean, I had seen it a couple times. I did rewatch it for this episode we're doing now.
And we should also say this is one of the only movies we've covered. There have been a couple where there's like extended editions. This is like the only one where there's been like a definitive and a director's sanctioned cut with all the footage like
we're talking about Payback.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of movies. Like I think with 1941 there was like an extended cut that I watched by mistake, but for the most part, this is this movie got a full release 6 years after Payback, and we watched both in different orders. Like I think what'd you watch first?
Theatrical cut.
Okay, I watched the director's first, and then I switched. And I mean, we can get into it off the top, but like, what did you think was the superior version?
I want to say the director's cut, mainly because it gets rid of that awful fucking blue tint.
Yeah,
I remember when Payback was like I was seeing like commercials for it and stuff, and presumably like this movie kind of should be right up my alley. And it was that blue tint. I was like, this movie looks stupid. And it was just, I didn't like the commercials or the trailers for it. I thought it looked silly. Alexis Lou, which whatever agent, whoever told her to drop the Alexis was very smart.
Yeah.
I don't know why she was going by that. It was so unnecessary, as if there was another Lucy Liu that she needed to be differentiated from.
Right.
But it was like they were always using that hubba clip. And I'm like, this movie looks awful.
The color grading on the theatrical cut is rough.
It's just
like they should have just went full black and white instead of this like cold blue desaturated. I get what they were trying. They wanted to make it like, but
it's too much. It becomes cartoonish almost.
So I watched the director's cut first, and I had a lot of problems with it. And I figured, these are things that are going to be corrected in the theatrical cut. No, the theatrical cut just gave me more problems that I have with it. Yeah. It kept the things that I thought were issues with it. But kept, again, because I'm coming from someone that had read the book.
Right.
And, yeah, there's just a lot of needless complication in the overall structure of the story. The stuff that the director's cut does differently, there's just kind of like a few restructurings, but overall...
It gets rid of a few things, too.
Yeah, the ending is drastically different. But it's just still, there's the problems that I have with this movie are prevalent in both versions.
I don't know. I think I might come down on the side of the crazy enough. I'm such a what's the word? I'm such a shill for studio execs. I think I might like the theatrical cut better.
Well, the studio executive was Mel Gibson in this case.
Oh, well, there you go.
All right. His production company produced this movie. I think he acquired the rights to it, and that's what happened. The director had also written L.A. Confidential, which won the Oscar, I think, the year that this movie was coming out.
And I think 2 or 3 days later, he was basically fired from this production.
He thought it would give him, I think, a little bit of clout to be like, well, I just won an Academy Award. I think the movie was done, too, and they wanted reshoots. And he was just like, no. And they were like, goodbye. I think it's one of those movies, too, where it's... You're essentially working for Mel Gibson. This guy's the director, but it's a Mel project.
And this is 99. He's at the height of his Mel powers.
Right.
Without a doubt.
And speaking of Mel, we decided that on our Patreon show for this episode, we're going to talk about the Mad Max movies. It was originally going to be just those 3, but you watched Fury Road as well, so did I. So we'll talk about that.
And we both saw Furiosa.
And saw Furiosa, which we'll cover. So we're going to talk a lot about Mel. And also, I didn't realize that Mel is not technically Australian.
I just found that out today. I was just doing a bit more last-minute research. And he was born in America to Australian parents.
Right.
And then they moved back.
Yeah.
Down under.
Right, when he was 12.
Just wait. I'm going to be doing a lot of bad Australian accents.
Ryan decided to hijack Movie Catch-Up this time around to talk about nothing but Australia. I had other stuff I want to talk about, but it's got to wait because we're going to
down under, dude.
All Australian cult movies.
We're paying respect to the fantastic country and continent of Australia.
Well, I snuck a few picks in there too, so it works out.
You did.
But yeah, this is like you said, kind of at the height of his power. I think this is around Lethal Weapon 4 was in production or around. So there was just it was a huge box office draw, and so I think if you're working on a movie for him, Mel's in charge. Especially it's his production company
for sure.
And I think he had a lot of problems with how Porter, that's the name of Parker in this.
Dude, this drove me nuts. So I watched Point Blank, The Split, The Outfit, Parker, and Payback. And like I said, he's a different name in all of them, with the exception of Parker. It was confusing me a little bit.
So, by the way, the first technical film of Parker was made in USA in 1966, which is a French movie by Jean-Luc Godard, based on The Jugger. I don't know where that falls in.
And it's Anna Karina plays.
It's the 4th or 5th book.
But I heard there's almost nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And I heard Godard's to me hit or miss, but I heard it's a miss.
So Point Blank was the first kind of official
and
adaptation.
It was adapted from The Hunter, which you read.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask you this. Tell me, can no one just follow, did they follow the story?
They alter things in both versions of this story, which needlessly, I can't.
Why?
Yeah.
I'm looking. It's a slim book.
It's so slim.
It looks like a screenplay.
And you know what the great thing about the book is, and I recommend people read. I'm going to spoil it a little bit, but basically, he finds and this is another weird thing in the book. The character's name is Mal, not Val.
Oh my god!
I know it's this weird.
Why do they do that?
I don't know. That just might have been a creative choice. I don't think that was an issue.
But even that Mal is a I remember the first time I saw this, I'm like, Mal Reese. That's a stupid name.
He finds him shockingly easy. I mean, it's a testament to Parker. He's able to find him really easy. And then the novel takes kind of a jump back. The chapter ends with him opening up the window to Val's hotel room, or Mal, whatever. What is it in Payback? It's Mal. No, it's Val.
It's Val.
Val. All right, so
Val Resnick.
This character, he opens up the window and then he wakes up, and it cuts back to then Mal's story, and it goes through. We take us through where he's been doing and everything. So it kind of it's disjointed, but it works. Both the, I feel I don't know if you can correct me if I'm wrong on Point Blank. His motivation is also to get the money back. In Payback, that's he wants to get revenge, but the money is his primary motivation. But in the book, he's surprised how easy it was for him to kill Mal.
Really?
So he's just like, well, I guess I'll go for the money now. It's like an afterthought, and that's what's so great about it. He just starts to think about it, and it's like, well, wait, well, I'm a money too. Like, I'm not going to...
So I guess you should describe the Parker character a little bit, his whole modus operandi.
Yeah, I mean, so Tarantino said it in Cinema Speculation. I'm going to read a little bit from it later, but he compares the kind of one of the best adaptations is not even a real adaptation, but it's Heat. And
De Niro is Neil McCauley.
Yeah, when you're reading the books of this character, the way the attitude he has towards heists and everything, it's very calculated. It's no attachments. It's so businesslike and just like don't get any emotion involved.
And it's a principled code.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
This is a job.
Right.
Do the job.
Yeah.
You know.
Honestly, Point Blank even loses me when what is he named in that?
Walker.
Jesus
Christ.
When he busts into the Lynn's apartment and just fires at the bed, that's so not him. That's
Really?
so not the character. He's calculated. He wouldn't just
Oh, yeah,
go
that
in
is-
guns ablazing like in an apartment building.
Which is one of the better, like, I kind of agree with Tarantino a little bit. He says, like, 20 minutes into Point Blank, it kind of starts to lose steam a little and turns into a bit of a 60s TV show.
Yeah.
And I was telling you before we started, like, I didn't grow up watching 60s TV shows in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
So in a weird way, it's kind of not fresh, but it's novel almost to me. When I like all the actors in this movie. He shit talks like all of them.
Yeah.
I think they're all great. And I kind of like that. There's a weird energy to it, and then it kind of evaporates. Point Blank's okay. It's a little too dry.
Yeah.
It's got some interesting editing choices.
I like the editing. I mean, the editing is one of the things that
editing
really
is good.
kind of.
Yes.
The first time I watched it, I was like so confused for a bit because it just kind of throws you into it, and we always talk about we hate when movies hold the audience's hand.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of that in these the Payback. You know what I mean? Like I think that theatrical cut holds the audience's hand a little bit more.
Agreed.
But Point Blank really doesn't. But it's just I don't know. I really want to like Point Blank. I know it's one of these iconic movies of this time, but I kind of side with Tarantino on it, where it's like it's just a little underwhelming for what I want the character to be. Coming from reading the book,
This last time, I think it was maybe the third or fourth time I'd watched it, I kind of felt like I was just like, I knew the beats already. It wasn't anything surprising to me. I was like, well, I know he's going to do this. And, I like it. I'm a big fan of the guy, the lone man on a mission, working his way up the crime ladder to just, boom, take them all out one by one. I love that shit. And it happens in this for sure. But
So the novel begins similar to how Payback begins, where you have Parker walking on this bridge and cars passing by him. And here's a quote. Office women and passing cars looked at him and felt vibrations above their nylons. He was big and shaggy with flat, square shoulders and arms too long and sleeves too short. He wore a gray suit, limp with age, and no pressing. So he really sets up as like this like beaten, like dejected man.
You think Lee Marvin's the best visual representation?
Visual?
I mean, I love Lee Marvin. He looks simian.
Yeah.
Like he's got a long monkey face. He looks like a big old ape. I think it's good.
I don't want to, because we talk about it so much in that Tarantino stuff, but I really do, after watching it again, the outfit, I think, is maybe not the look of the character. I don't picture him as that.
But it's the vibe.
The vibe, how Duvall plays that character is so what the books are like.
Yeah.
And Tarantino, I think, said as much in his thing. He really thinks it's the definitive. And because it's just, he's kind of like, he's not really getting attached. He's so, like, cool and collected. He's not like, even when the Bet, is that her name, the female, gets killed in that, he has that moment where he's upset, but then it's just like right back to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't let him slow it down.
Thank God.
I know. Payback does a lot of this. Like, it builds up that there's like a sensitive guy in there, and that's the shit about Payback I didn't like.
I hate to say it. I hate to sound like a misogynist, like, because I feel like I always am coming off that way. Whatever. But the female roles, they drag these movies down. And I know it's necessary. You want your mall.
No, it's not. Because the novel, this other character, this prostitute that helps him is in the book. He does not give a fuck about her. That she's just a character that helps him get to.
I won't say he's affectionate towards Angie Dickinson in this movie, but there's a bit of like.
He's the Lynn's sister, right?
He's the ex-wife's sister. He's being protective of her,
and then he throws her into it. He uses her, and Payback does the same thing. In the novel, The Hunter, it's just someone that he knows that has connections with. that he knows she can find out information. If anything, he really complicates her life because they're going to know that she helped him. So he's just like, you got to move. Your business is over. Out. Like, he doesn't care.
Yeah,
I
want that.
With this stupid thing with the photograph and the dog named after him, I don't like it. I do not like it. I really didn't like that.
But, like, you know, with Point Blank, you got Lee Marvin, Angie Dickinson, who's good.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. She's kind of, like, bitter in the role. She's not terrible or anything. Keenan Wynn, Carol Connor, which, you know, Tarantino was knocking him for being too comedic.
No, I like him in this.
You're a very bad man, Walker. You're very destructive. Why would you do a thing like that? It's funny. He hates Lloyd Bachner, fish-faced actor Lloyd Bachner, who I thought was fine as Carter in this. And I also like how it's that faceless, the outfit's like this, it's a very corporate structure for a crime thing.
Right.
There's Carter at the top, there's Brewster, there's Fairfax, you know, you got your Troika at the top.
This is all stuff that comes from the book,
yeah,
too.
they're all kind of, they work with each other, but they're all kind of at odds with each other. And in Point Blank, they are trying to force each other out a little bit. That's where the Keenan Wynn, I think, is revealed at the end. He's who is he? He's Fairfax.
Yeah.
Right.
He's kind of like one of the men in charge. There's also James Sicking, who's
who we love.
Yeah, he's great. Is that like just
hired gun?
Yeah,
he's barely in it, and he really. It's funny enough.
That's something that I really like of Point Blank is that where they're setting him up and he throws what's his name into it to get killed.
Yeah,
and he's
Carter.
like, no, it's
I'm Carter. It's me, Carter.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Funny enough, I read a little anecdote with John Boorman, who is a great director. I would obviously, I've said this before. Watch Excalibur, if you haven't.
Deliverance as well, and
Sicking wanted the role, James Sicking, and Boorman goes, "Oh no, you're far too nice for this. Like you have," and he does. He has a nice face. He looks like a nice man.
He does.
So what James Sicking did, he really wanted the role. He would stand outside his office in the bushes and just stare at his window menacingly. And eventually, Boorman walked out. He's like, "Fine, you've got the role." But
and both are still alive, by the way. They're in their 90s now.
Boorman's still kicking.
Boorman's still alive.
All right, and it's got John Vernon as the Vale character, Mal Reese. The thing about John Vernon is he's got the voice.
Yeah.
That voice is so, and it's, you know, you really know it from the Animal House quotes and stuff because he was Dean. Wormer?
I think so, something like that.
Or was Dean Wormer another Dean in some other stupid college movie?
I'll look it up while you're talking about it.
Yeah, he's just got that voice.
Yeah, he's Dean Vernon Wormer.
Yeah, dude, it's so. I mean, there was a lot of talk where he wasn't ready for the role. I think it was one of his first film roles. He'd been working in England a lot, maybe some TV stuff.
Well, the male character is so pathetic.
That's the thing. That's why I think it works. He is a pathetic character who's blustering.
I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but Payback makes it like comical.
There's a comical element to Payback, which I don't mind.
But like in the book, he's like written as just being like this pudgy, gross man who can't even like please his prostitutes that he's with. He's just so pathetic and just like, and I think
why go for that?
John Vernon does a much better job at capturing that. Also, Point Blank follows the novel in that Parker kills him in that hotel when he first finds him. I hate how Payback he keeps him alive.
Yeah,
it's stupid.
Gives him a chance to like get the money.
So dumb.
I guess
it follows the novel a bit closer, but they just restructure and move scenes around because like. He does still go to the outfit boss to like, hey, I'm having trouble with this guy. But in Payback, it's after he first comes up with him. In the novel, the moment he gets from Stegman, he hears that this guy's looking for him. He goes right to the outfit. He's like, oh, we got a problem. And that's when they're like, well, you're getting out of the hotel. You're going to go stay at your own hotel, and we're going to see how you handle this yourself. It's the same. The dialogue's the same, where he has that like, I'm going to give you 3 options, and The weird thing is, Payback is a closer adaptation to the novel. It just adds in shit that's ridiculous, and I'll get to it when we discuss it. But the Chinese gang and
the triad stuff was
the dominatrix stuff. Like
that's the worst. That's the worst.
Yeah,
but we'll get to it. So I don't know. Point Blank, definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it. It's not bad by any means. There's a lot to like. I know Soderbergh is real high on the film.
Really?
He loves it.
There's a lot of people that really love this movie.
There's good technique. There's something to be said for it, especially the era it was coming from. It was definitely stylish in a way that was very restrained. And one thing that I think Soderbergh was pointing out was how the movie, as it goes on, more color is added. And I didn't really realize that myself. It's kind of really cold and gray at first, and then as it goes on, more and more color is kind of added to, you know, what you're seeing, for lack of a better term. But I'd definitely check it out. And that was 1967 for Point Blank.
There is another French film in '67 called Pillaged, which is
Really?
based on the novel The Score. Again, some of these are so you gotta wonder how accurate they are if they're just like borrowing the name.
I just don't get it. Why you can't just do a straight adaptation of this? It's
Unless
right there.
Unless he was like really particular about, and I don't think he was, because like I said, Payback is.
But once you sell it, you're done.
Yeah, I guess I kind of understand though. He was still writing this character up until 2008, so he really didn't want these movies to affect the lure.
But he has no say in it. Once you sell your story, it's theirs now.
That was a catalyst though. He wouldn't sell.
But he did.
He didn't.
And
he wouldn't sell the rights unless they agreed not to use the name Parker.
oh, fuck the name. I'm just saying the story
yeah.
beats.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
And like with Point Back, I can see what you're doing. And you say Hugh's fairly close to the story, but like
No, like I said, a third of this book, maybe even more, is from Mal's point of view. So it's
maybe that's what I don't know. Whatever.
Okay.
I think it'd be interesting. So,
but there's another
Point Blank, pretty big hit. Mm-hmm. So I think to capitalize that, next year in 1968, they do The Split. And this is directed by Gordon Fleming, who was kind of a British director. He didn't really have much experience. He didn't do much else after this because it kind of bombed. Bombed. But this is based on the Parker novel The Seventh. And it stars Jim Brown, Big Jim Brown.
we love Jim Brown.
As McClane in this one.
McClane.
They didn't even try. They didn't go for like. I remember I texted you. I'm like, it's Walker, it's Parker, it's Porker, it's
Parker, Porter.
Yeah. This one is just McClane.
Yeah.
And
that's why I like the outfit, Macklin. At least they make it a little bit. They don't
Earl Macklin.
Earl Macklin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I always liked about. You brought up the Heat character. I always liked De Niro, Neil McCauley. He sounds like an accountant.
Yeah, he does.
Neil McCauley, and it's that movie. He's phenomenal in that. But man, how far has De Niro fallen? I won't get into it. But he is embarrassing anymore, man. But Jim Brown stars in this
your
one.
buddy Paul Schrader was in the news recently talking about how De Niro wanted to make a sequel to Taxi Driver.
Oh, it sounded so stupid,
yeah,
too.
because he was just broke and was like trying to. It's like, I think that's a terrible idea.
I forget what leaked, but a couple of years ago when De Niro was getting divorced, he was I got to keep doing these shitty fucking movies to pay for a pool. And it makes you realize it's that old thing, more money, more problems, man. It's like you got to pay for the pool. So anyway, Jim Brown takes over the Parker character here as McClane. And I think this was maybe Jim Brown's first leading role. And, I don't know. I think maybe I won't knock him too hard. I think he's better as a supporting actor. He just doesn't really have much to do in this movie. Mm-hmm. For a legend running back, I guess he's a pretty good actor, but he's got a good presence and all that. And, I kind of appreciate him, too, because he said back in the day, I think in an interview with Ebert, he was just like, I don't want to take black roles. I just want to be black in the role. And as the movie goes on, you just stop caring.
Right.
And this is the 60s, too, when people are much more sensitive to that stuff. And it's just like, that's the smart way to approach it, is just like, I'm just an actor.
Yeah, right.
Gives a shit.
Yeah.
And it's funny, too, because in this movie, they touch on it a little bit, especially the Warren Oates character. Did you watch this?
I didn't. I skipped this. The only reason I didn't watch all the Parker things is because I'm going to continue reading the series, so I didn't want there to be too much.
It's okay. I mean, you didn't miss a ton, with the exception of the cast blew me away in this. So one thing that's cool is before he gets the job, they're gonna knock off a football game essentially. Mm-hmm. They're gonna all the take from all the concessions and tickets and all that shit. He tests every member of the crew. So you got Ernest Borgnine as the muscle. And he runs a gym or something. So Jim Brown's hiding in his office, and Ernest Borgnine walks in, and the first thing that happens is Jim Brown kicks him in the stomach, and it's Ernest Borgnine's face. Oh, getting kicked in the
stomach. He ain't using that gym equipment either.
No. Well, he looks okay.
Oh, does he?
He's slim enough. But they fight in the office, and then Jim Brown smirks and flees out a window because he wants Borgnine as the muscle.
Yeah.
Then Jack Klugman.
Love Jack Klugman.
He tests him as Klugman's some limo driver basically. Mm. So he tests him as a driver. He tries to run him off the road and shit. Then you got Warren Oates as a vault man. So he locks him in this vault and sees if he can get out.
That's great.
Yeah, and then you have Donald Sutherland as the shooter. And his thing is idiotic. Jim Brown stands in a mirror and sees if Donald Sutherland what he shoots at. It's pretty stupid. But I love the idea of testing the crew first.
Absolutely.
Because they don't know who the hell McClane is.
Right.
They're who's this black guy who's popping up and doing this weird shit to us? Then all of a sudden Diane Carroll plays the head. She's kind of putting the job together. She knew McClane. And she gets them all in the room, and they're like, who the fuck is this guy? And Warren Oates has some choice words there to say anything you can imagine. But quickly they realize, okay, we want the money. It's a huge score. They do the job. But I'm like, dude, look at this crew. Borgnine, Klugman, Oates, Donald Sutherland. I think in his first film role, I could be wrong. I'm like, this is a sick crew. And it
Well, that's another thing that the the books do that the movies don't really carry over. It sounds like this one is the exception, but like there's more of a crew. These movies kind of shuffle it off to like there's only 3 people involved. That's Parker, this woman, and Mal, Val, whatever.
Right.
But there is like, and he does go, vetting them is a very serious thing. Like he watches them at work. He goes and kind of like looks around what they do. Like, and the Man with the Getaway Face, it's a waitress who sets up this armored car that stops at a diner she works at. And he just, before he even meets her in the context of the heist, he goes to the diner and just watches her work. Like he really takes it. And that's something I wish that these did a little bit better.
Yeah.
They kind of just make it about the 3 of them, and it's the outfit, which we'll get to next, does a better job at the crew.
Right. Yeah, and the crew's like, they're come on, those 4 are fantastic with Jim Brown. And it's like, I think Tarantino said this film was abysmal or an abortion. I don't know. It was all right for what it was. It wasn't the greatest movie. It wasn't the most polished. Everything goes a little too easy. They do pull it off. They get the heist, and then they stash the money in Jim Brown's girlfriend's apartment because she's an innocent. And they know, like, the second this goes out, they're going to be running us all down because they all have records and all that shit. So then, remember Brooks in Shawshank Redemption?
Yeah.
He plays this creepy rapist landlord, and he kind of like comes in and tries to rape her, and he ends up killing her, but he finds the money and he takes it. So then Jim Brown comes back, like, where's the fucking money? This girl's dead. And now, like, now he's like, they all think he took it, the crew.
Yeah.
So he's got blah, blah, blah. He finds out that fucking, where is it? What is he not even listed here? Oh, yeah. Gene Hackman then appears in the movie as the detective,
the lieutenant.
Yeah, who has found and then him and Jim Brown are working together. I'm like,
that sounds cool.
This cast is phenomenal. The movie's okay.
Okay.
But especially the end, because they kind of just end up, it's like a dark shootout in some old shitty refinery, and it's But here's the main thing, and this is where I had a problem with probably the director's cut. Tarantino said it in that outfit chapter in his book, and I assume it's true in the books. Parker always wins. Parker always gets away. Parker doesn't die.
Right.
Gets the money.
Right.
I want that. McClane gets away in this. He wins.
Yeah.
And Hackman presumably gets to keep some of the money too because they kind of partner up. But I don't know. It was all right.
In the end of The Hunter, he does not. He loses the money. He gets away with some of it, but he loses the majority of the money he got back.
He's just got to win.
Yeah.
In so many words.
I agree.
I don't need that moralistic.
I agree.
No. Parker wins.
I agree.
I don't want But then,
that was his problem with Heat. I think even Tarantino said he doesn't want to
that
see
last
Neil
15 minutes.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to see it, and I get it. I like Heat though.
I do too.
I think it's kind of earned. Is that he has to kill. Oh my god! I can't believe I forget his name. What's the character's name? Waingro.
Oh yeah.
Had to get it on, man. I'm a cowboy.
I think he's doing another the prequel.
Oh, is that what that's going to be? Because I know he was doing a sequel. I'm like, what the hell is he going to do? Neil McCauley's
it's a prequel.
Dead. You think he's going to trot out 98-year-old De Niro?
No, it's I think Adam Driver is playing that part.
Oh my god!
You're not a fan? You don't like the man?
I don't mind him. It's just enough already.
Kind of like me with Fred Armisen over here.
But it's like there's like 2 actors anymore. It's Adam Driver and Fred Armisen in our newest buddy. They're going to do the new Parker adaptation.
I would love it.
So anyway, after that, we've already touched on it a little bit. It's 1973's The Outfit.
Yeah, you can go back to our initial episode on that Tarantino book to listen to that. But I did rewatch it for this.
I did too.
I love it.
It's good, man.
It really is.
I love Robert Ryan as the heavy. He's so... You know what the funny thing I like about him is... he's at the top of the organization. He's making all the money. He gets the beautiful woman. He just looks miserable in the movie. He just doesn't give a shit. He doesn't. He's old too. He was kind of dying at the time, but the character itself of Mallory, he just looks. He's like, ugh.
I like Menor too. Menor looks like he just hates his life.
Menor's great. Timothy Carey, a great character actor.
And that scene when Parker breaks up the poker game.
That's awesome.
That to me is Parker.
Yes.
That is. Or I'm sorry, Macklin in this. But that when reading the books, that he's just like I love that whole chapter. I mean that whole scene in the movie. He just like takes their stuff, calmly walks out of the hotel, gets in the car, drives away. There's no like big shootout in the hall. It's so like he's just
methodical.
He's calm about it.
Yes, I love that.
And then he shoots his hand. It's so great.
It's just having all the angles worked out and knowing you're catching someone unawares.
Yeah. And
not only that, it's the idea of like, okay, you fucked me over. I'm going to knock off each one of your little podunk operations. Right. I love that, man. Because who would come after us? Who does he think he is?
Yeah. And it's like surprisingly easy for the two of them just to go around and do it.
Right. Because they're so confident.
I like the one when they break in, right? And it's the bar. And he's like, you got a safe? He's like, no, it's the file cabinet. He's like, fuck this operation the two of you guys have got here.
Exactly.
It's just like, what are you doing? You're not even trying.
That's the best throwaway line. You're so right. And Tarantino points this out, rightly so. I assume the only person that Parker really has affection for is his little heist buddy, Cody.
I love Joe Don.
Perfectly played by Joe Don Baker.
Yeah.
When he comes in as the mailman, and in that one operation joint, and she's like, "You're not supposed to be in here. Like, we're not expecting anything." He's like, "Well, it says it right here." And that just punches her right in the
whacks her right in the face.
It's hilarious.
In the Hunter novel, there's a scene when he's staking out this hotel where the outfit is set up, and he ends up going across the street in this. I forget what kind of office it is. It's like a hair salon maybe or something, and he ties this woman up, and she ends up suffocating and dying. And he's kind of just like, oh, that's the risk. Like, she's dead, whatever happened. Like, this innocent woman that just...
Collateral damage.
That's what it's like. He's like, I don't like when this happens, but sometimes it's got to happen, whatever. Yeah. And, yeah, man, it's great. Again, another scene with them where he's, like, dressed as a maintenance man. He's the mailman. They do the heist. They just separate, walk down the hall. Like, nothing happened. Back in the elevator. Over. It's great.
Yeah.
It's so... And Robert Duvall plays it so good. It's just, the calmness of it. And again, they get away with it in the end. It's great.
Yeah. And as they should. And they do it with a laugh, too. I love that. I love the laughing, like, in the face of bullshit. Like,
it's great.
It's awesome. Yeah, that big recommendation on the outfit for sure. We'll jump ahead here to 2013.
So
Finally,
you skipped Slayground, by the way. There is a novel called Slayground.
I said that in the beginning. I couldn't get
that
Peter
one.
Coyote. I couldn't find it.
And then, you're jumping ahead to Parker.
Where Parker finally gets to be Parker.
Because Westlake was dead.
Yes. I haven't seen a ton of them, but anytime I catch one of these low-rent Jason Statham movies, I just like the guy. I just like his shitty, stupid movies. Like, I don't seek them out, but I don't turn them off either when they're on.
I remember, like, maybe, like, early 2000s, I guess it would have had a big as the movies were out, but, like, The Transporter was always played on, like, FX, and I discovered them then, and they were, like, I love them.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah.
He's funny. It's just, he's got that great grimace, bald head. It's just, I don't know, he's physical. He's probably too physical for Parker in this, maybe. I don't know. I kind of like this movie. This is one thing I'll say about this movie. He's got another crew that, kind of double crosses him. It's a great crew. Michael Chiklis, Wendell Pierce, Clifton Collins Jr., and then some jobber. Who is it? Michael Hauptman. I don't know. This guy's not that much. He's not great in the movie either. He's kind of like the weak man in the chain anyway.
Got Nick Nolte.
Dude,
Nick Nolte sounds like he's dying in this movie. Parker, you gotta look, man. I got a job for you, Parker.
Dude, he looks bloated.
Yeah.
He looks like a beached whale in this movie. I love Nick Nolte, but man,
it's probably around the same time as that Walk in the Woods movie that he's in. He sounds like every breath he takes sounds like he's just got like shredded wheat in his mouth. It's just like
It's
What goes up must damn Bryson.
he's rough in this.
it's like he's foaming at the mouth.
But this crew is great.
Yeah.
Wasted. Wasted, man. They're almost barely in it, I feel like. It's when they're not in it, I'm like, where's the crew?
Yeah.
Like, get this crew back. I don't know. It's annoying. One of the weird things I actually was surprised. I liked. Guess what I liked about this movie you probably think I wouldn't like?
Jennifer Lopez.
I thought she was really good in it. She plays like a divorced real estate agent whose life is just falling apart.
Sounds like a lot like her life right now.
But dude, she
Couldn't sell out her tour.
what did she,
getting divorced.
She made that weird vanity movie.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that?
There's someone Owen Wilson she did too. Yeah, I don't know.
Dude, it's forgotten that, you look at another good neo-noir movie. She's fantastic in Out of Sight as the Karen Sisko character.
That's true.
I mean, she is really good in that movie. And I watch that and I go, why the fuck didn't you keep acting?
She just picked shit roles, and she would get like that
Maybe.
with the rom-com.
To me, it was when, I know people do this, but it's like pick a lane. She didn't need the music career, in my opinion.
agree.
And I feel like that's all she's focused on
I
since
agree.
then. And to me, it's like, I don't know. I don't care.
Right.
I'd rather see you act. You're good.
Yeah, right.
And she's good in this. I was stunned at how much I liked her in this. She has a stupid moment at the end where she's like, I'm going to make sure Parker doesn't fuck up. And she goes and like tries to like spy on the lair of the crew. It's like they immediately get her.
That's great.
Like, but Statham's great. I'm sorry. The man has perfect screen presence. I just like Statham.
I do too.
And it's fun watching. He kind of works his way up the chain a little bit in this movie. He's operating. He's pure confidence. gets a car, steals a car, dumps the car, gets another car, shoots this guy, helps the guy after he shoots him. Like, I don't know how closely it used to the Parker.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. As a stupid, shitty, like, throwaway, like, crime movie with Statham, I kind of enjoyed it.
Nick Nolte, Parker, you gotta watch out for these guys.
Man, he is rough in this.
I'm going to read you a real quick recap of what Tarantino says on some of these movies. But Point Blank, when compared to other Stark adaptations like the abysmal Jim Brown won The Split, not Brown's fault, the practically comedic Point Blank remake with Mel Gibson, and Godard's non-adaptation Made in the USA, which wastes Stark's book, the audience's time, and a lot of Kodak film stock.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't. From what I've, like, little clips I've seen, I'm like, what is this? The Made in USA thing?
Yeah.
What is he doing here? I don't know. Godard's relationship with America, anyway.
we should also point out that The Hunter is being adapted yet again for a movie called Play Dirty, directed by and written by Shane Black.
Oh, okay, well, okay.
With Mark Wahlberg in the Parker role.
And you don't like Marky Mark?
I don't think he's a Parker.
A little short.
It was supposed to be Robert Downey Jr. He's producing it, and I'm like, that'd have been much better.
Yeah. Who do you think would be a good Parker?
I just said
these
it,
days?
Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, you think so?
Well, I want like a little bit of a grizzled kind of. He's not young.
Yeah,
I don't know that Mark
guess.
Wahlberg's young, but I don't know. I don't buy Mark
I think Robert
Wahlberg in
Downey Jr. is
anything.
a little dainty to me.
I guess, but that's what. See, Parker isn't like this. You heard me read a little bit about him. He's just kind of like he's well built, but he kind of just looks like a junkyard dog. He's just like rough. Like
Who's an actor like that now, though? They're either Twinkie pretty boys or just
That's
like
true.
men of yesteryear.
Yeah.
There's no actors. I know they're pushing now that Glenn Powell guy. Like, I'm sorry. I saw this comment. I see a lot of. I never give people credit. I'm sorry because I'm always just flipping through Twitter. But like someone was like, "This guy should be like a C-list like TV actor," and it's true. Nothing against him, but he doesn't. I'm like, I don't care.
I watched Hitman, the Linklater movie that just came out.
Oh yeah.
Which I can't talk about because you hijacked movie catch up. But next time I can just.
Up or down?
I'm in the middle.
Yeah.
Linklater's kind of hit or miss with some of his stuff. They marketed this movie to look a certain way, and it's not. And I think that's intentional. I was very surprised by what I thought would be kind of like a goofy, silly guy in disguise. It's not that. It's actually really dark. It goes places. It's surprising. I like that about it.
Did you watch that Fincher movie, The Killer?
I did.
What did you think of that?
That was good too.
Was that? It almost seems like the same thing. Like it was
Kind of.
advertised differently than it was.
Yeah, I mean, Hitman, and I don't know much about Glenn Powell other than
where'd he come from?
yeah, he's always been acting. He's been I think he was a teen performer. Anyway,
okay.
I liked him. I thought he was, for what the role was, he was a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, maybe someone like, I don't know. It's just, you gotta.
Are there character actors
That's
anymore?
that's a good point.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know. Because I'm so checked out on new shit. Like if maybe I'll watch something new. Like if you tell me or something, someone recommends it or something. But Jesus Christ, dude, I just don't know who it is.
Well, it's funny. Mel on paper makes a good Parker.
Yeah.
I just think I think from what I was reading, it was Mel's decision to make him like a sympathetic, character, and that's the stuff for me.
It's definitely what Helgeland was not going for.
No. And I think it was Mel who ended up, when push came to shove, was like, all right, present the version of the movie you want to present. Did give him the chance to do that. So
Yeah.
again, you have to respect Mel,
Of course.
as a creative, because he gave the guy the chance to do that. He wanted to make things right. So, but yeah, we'll jump to Payback.
Payback,
which is, I think this
1999.
initially came up on our radar because someone suggested on Patreon. I
it was
don't
a
know
Patreon
exactly
suggestion.
Who. And then it was on just kind of our radar. We thought that'd be fun. We wanted to talk about some of these novels and the other adaptations, but I'm going to go over the Patreon for our friend Luke, who says, when I went to watch Payback, I noticed there were two cuts. Apparently, the director and producers had a disagreement over the final edit. Decided to buy a director's cut on DVD and enjoyed it a lot. After further research, it turns out the narration present in the theatrical was edited out, which I think definitely helps the pacing of the director's cut. Now, you and I talk a lot about what cues into reshoots, and it's always the voiceover narration. So in this movie, begins with that. You're like, oh boy. That being said, it's not overused, I don't think, in a theatrical cut.
No, it's funny though. It's not missed.
No,
I realized in the
like
director's
the
cut.
opening of him at the doctor.
Yeah, I was surprised that it just the movie starts with him just walking out of the subway in the director's
which
cut.
that's kind of how the book does.
Oh, does
it's
it?
just him walking across that bridge.
Yeah. Could have used it. I didn't mind the doctor.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it was funny. He's drinking whiskey and then putting the instruments in that.
Yeah.
And just,
Yeah, I thought that was all right. One thing I'll say about this movie right off the bat is I really like how, beyond Mel, the whole supporting cast is just dripping with sleaze. And I think that's really effective. Like, everyone's sleazy, and they're really
this.
playing it full tilt sleaze. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, from Greg Henry, who's just he's a total scumbag in this movie, but Bill Duke as he is just a scumbag, and David Paymer is doing his David Paymeriest.
I like all these actors. I think the characters are used wrong. The cops are not showing. The cops are in the book, but they don't provide the same use.
And they're a little weird too. How they're just like,
It's a strange thing. It doesn't work for
you're
me.
gonna give us the money. It's like,
It doesn't
all
work
right.
for me. It doesn't do it for me.
It doesn't
and
make
like,
sense.
Again, in the book, he takes out Stegman so early on, where he's just like, I've got the information out of you, and then he finds out he went and like squealed on him, and goes back and sees him and bashes his head in with a gun repeatedly, just beats his brains out in a taxi cab.
Yeah, towards the end, I'm like, why is Stegman still here?
It's so stupid.
But I don't know if you want to start at the top.
So yeah, I mean, do you want to? You watch the director's cut last,
Second, yes.
so you can. The theatrical is more fresh in my mind, so you can. I found there's
Please start with that.
a few websites that kind of trace this, but
Because I mean, that is the one most people are going to see is the theatrical cut.
yeah. But he is Porter in this adaptation. He's a career thief who has found himself betrayed on his last heist, and he's been shot and left for dead, and he's just kind of starting over, and he's essentially has nothing. He has nothing to his name. He has no money. He has
Which is, I like this opening in that
it's
regard.
from the book.
Yeah.
Again, it's this. I love seeing Porter Parker like come from nothing to see how he's able to just get wealth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he grabs $3 out of a homeless guy. He uses that to buy coffee and steal cigarettes from someone.
I think he even
a waitress.
punches like the homeless guy's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he
And
just
he's
shoves him back against the wall.
He's like, fuck you.
And then he ends up.
Yeah, he steals from the
He
waitress.
steals her cigarettes. He steals a guy's wallet who kind of resembles him. Because in the novel, it was back in the days when you could easily fake a
Sure,
license. So
sure.
here he doesn't have that ability. He finds a guy that kind of looks like him, steals his wallet, takes cash out of his bank account, goes and buys a suit along with watches, pawns the watches. So he's really good at covering his tracks.
Gets the gun.
Yeah,
has a nice
it's
steak
so
dinner.
great how, yeah, he
skips on the bill.
Skips on the bill.
It's a great setup initially.
But we start to like build the backstory of the heist that happened, which was he had this old partner, Val Resnick, in this. His name is, and I guess there's this Chinese gang that he's been staking out, and notices that there's a drop happening, and it's a real easy takes. I think it's 100, and he thinks it's going to be like 100.
This is what's bizarre. It's 140 grand, even split 70 each ways, right?
Yeah.
For the rest of the movie, after they get the money, they're referring to it as 130 grand. I don't know why.
It's probably something that was lost in translation.
Dude, it's so weird though, because
Yeah.
like the whole time, and Mel never stops too. He keeps going. It's because the whole thing he has to keep reminding people, no, I just want the 70 grand. And that's the one thing that is funny about like in Point Blank, it's there.
Yeah.
And I think it might be there in the outfit a little bit.
It is.
Where he's just like, they're like,
It's like that's a day for us.
But
That's a
like-
day's take.
they're like, you want all this money? And he's just like, no.
I just want what I'm owed.
I just want my 70
Yeah,
grand.
yeah.
They're like, you're doing all this for 70 grand? What the fuck is wrong with
The
you?
principal.
Like, no one believes
Yeah.
him
Also,
almost.
he's just kind of bored, and he doesn't know. Like, it's
Yeah, what are you going to do?
It's also like the book does a better job at explaining that he doesn't want to work with Val. He's like really apprehensive about it. He doesn't trust this guy. He is just out of money. You know, this is how he lives his life. He one big heist, coasts for a little bit, and so he's getting to that point where the money's almost gone.
Right.
But he gets roped into it, and he is planning. This is why the book is so interesting. He is planning to double cross Val.
Oh, really?
He's going to kill him.
Excellent.
He gets the jump on him first both of these, Point Blank and Payback, bungle I guess the Alcatraz stuff is interesting. At least it's a visual location.
Sure.
But in the book, it's just they're hiding out at this old. It's not abandoned. There's no one staying at this mansion, and he's just after a heist, he likes to have sex with the woman he's with. So they've just
Sure, I'm
had
sure you
sex.
got a big rod after that.
She goes to the bathroom.
Your adrenaline's pumping.
And Mal and this other accomplice are in the bathroom. They say, you're going to go back in there and shoot him or you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
And she shoots him, hits his belt buckle, and then misses a bunch of times. So they really do think he's dead. They set the mansion on fire and leave. He comes to with all this smoke and is able to get out. So that's why when you see him here in the beginning of Payback, he's disheveled. It's supposed to be he crawled out from this burning, and now he's just out of the subway. He jumps we see in the Payback, he jumps the turnstile, which is great. But yeah, it's just.
Which is such a low-level piece of shit move.
I know,
It's a
yeah.
good little thing. It's like, because if you're jumping a turnstile, you're a piece of shit. I'm sorry, but pay the fucking money.
So,
But they basically, these guys always seem to drive down an alley, these triad members. So they just slam into them. Because, once again, you're catching someone totally off guard. Who would slam into us at top speed?
Right.
Good little moment.
This is another,
Puts the mouthpiece in.
Yeah, but he's like, Parker is so calculated in how he thinks about his heist. This is just like so sloppy, like just gonna rear end the car. I don't know.
Well, it's head on.
I understand, but it's like this is not how he. Yeah.
I don't know. He was prepared. They were
like
strapped in. He had the mouth guard.
I don't like it.
He gets immediately out with the bolt cutters and gets the briefcase. What I hated about this scene is when Val keeps punching the guy.
Yeah, it's
like, dude, just leave. What are you doing?
And then same setup. The girl shoots him.
By the way, she shoots him twice in the back, and then Val kicks him in the head, and they leave.
Yeah.
When I inevitably double cross you, I will shoot you in the back twice.
Sure, but again,
the third shot's going in your brain.
The book,
you kill these people.
They think he's dead, and then they set the place on fire, so it's a little bit more.
But here
it's
like, kill him.
Yeah. And then they're all, he's alive still?
You didn't kill him. You shot him.
So his wife in this is played by Deborah Unger,
who just looks like a smoked cigarette.
Yeah,
I'll give her that.
So that's the other thing too. Like this.
You ever see Crash, the Cronenberg film?
No,
she's in that.
I bet she's great.
You should check it out.
I'm not gonna.
You're a secret creep. I think you'd like it.
I don't like how in this version she's like living in a slum. In the book and in Point Blank, they show like he's taken care of her. She's living. Val eventually gets tired of her. That's the thing in the book. This Val character is a very sexually frustrated guy, and he just like he doesn't even want to be with her because she just lays there. She's so fucking broken by what she had to do that he's just like, I'm done with you. Like, I'm going to put you in this fucking nice apartment. I'll send you money every month just so you don't lead to problems. And that's where Barker, and in this, Porter, ends up finding her. In Payback, it's more of a slum. It's this shitty fucking gross apartment.
And the whole thing is like she double-crossed him because... She thinks she's cheating on her because he has that photo of her with the hooker.
Really dumb.
The director's cut, though, does kind of like... Because he has more to do with the wife. Like, one, he beats the hell out of her in the kitchen.
And that's one of the
big... Parker should be a piece of shit, kind of.
In the book, man, he is a disgusting fucking animal. Like, he...
I don't want to watch it. I don't need to like this guy. I just want to watch
both him and Mal are, like, awful people.
Yeah. And apparently Deborah Unger really got into it. Like she's like proud of it. She's like, she cracked 2 ribs during that.
Yeah, but this scene is one of the first notable omissions in the cut differences. It's he notices like track marks on her arm. They're at the kitchen table, and he ends up hitting her in the.
But he tells her. I don't remember in the theatrical cut if he does. In the director's cut, he goes, "This was before we met. This picture." He's like, "You're upset about nothing."
Yeah, it's not in the director's cut.
No, it's not in the theatrical cut.
Theatrical cut. Yeah.
Why? Like, it's
stupid. The whole thing is stupid. The angle with him being like lovers with this Rosie character, we'll get to it. It doesn't work for me.
Doesn't work for me.
It's
either.
real stupid. It's stupid. He doesn't get attached. He does.
Right.
These are just like he even says it in his narration in the book. He's like, when I do this, fine, I'll go find I think he ends up getting a prostitute. It's like he has that, like you said, he wants the energy after a heist. Yeah, he wants. So it's like they're just like kind of objects to him. Like in the book, when she dies the same way. She ends up overdosing on pills. He just takes the body to a park and dumps it. It's he rolls her up in a carpet and throws her in a park. Like he doesn't give a shit about her. Like it's just I love that unrepentant. In this. Dude, that the shot where he finds her, she overdoses. He carries her to the bedroom. He takes her stash, but she has all that's hidden. She ends up ODing. He takes the needle with his wedding ring and stabs it to the wall. It's like a symbolism. So that when the police show up, they're going to be like, "Oh, this." I guess she just heard decor. She had stupid shit, man.
Dumb. You wouldn't do that. No. You wouldn't leave a trace like that.
No, you and I wouldn't do it. This seasoned criminal who's not trying to leave
the ring.
It's better, yeah. So some weird symbolism, and it's in both versions. So there was so much stuff, and I'm watching the director's cut. And I'm like, I have a feeling I'm like theatrical version. The theatrical version just adds more shit that I don't like. It's very conflicting. But yeah, I don't think he would feel remorse. She's already dead to him. The double cross, dead.
Yeah,
you're completely dead. The fact that he like when he lays down next to her in bed and he's looking at her, I'm like, all right, Mel. We know you wanted to be seeing this what women want kind of. Come on.
I'm not all bad.
No,
Porter's kind of good.
No, he's got a heart of gold. He's hard up. Yeah, whatever.
Just stop.
But he ends. This is a fun scene where you have the courier that brings over her monthly check show up. In the book, he's kind of written to be like this jovial, chubby little like telegraph man with a bow tie. Yeah, I love him. I do like in Payback. He's just like this nose. He's got a nose ring. He's this
Freddie Rodriguez,
hipster doofus guy.
That's one thing, man. If you're ever gonna like get into like a occupation where you might have to fight, never have piercings or shaggy hair or dreads or anything.
I love when he rips this guy's nose ring out right out of his nose. But he finds out.
I love how he works his ribs initially. Like he really bashes him.
He says that the guy that pays him this check to go see her every month is this guy named Stegman, who is a taxi cab kind of. What the word you'd use? There's
a taxi company.
Here's another scene I like. Porter shows up at this taxi company. You have the big guy at the front desk who's just very like, I don't give a shit who you are. Cut to Porter steaming a little bit, and then just a shot of him opening the back room, like covering a wound on his ear. Like it's great.
Someone's here to see you.
Yeah. I love that.
It is good. He slowly takes the paper out of his hand. Like
it's your standard thing. Like, hey buddy, how can I help you? I'm here to see. Oh, there's no one here by that name. That type of scene, we've all seen it before, but I like that.
I'm really on board at this point.
I am too.
Yeah.
And then you have David Paymer, who is a great in this role as just this sleazy, gambling.
And you guys, he gives in the back room. They're shooting dice with like I said, Bill Duke.
These two cops, man. Another thing that doesn't work for me in this movie.
I like them, but they don't work.
It's
stupid. It is pointless. It's Bill Duke and Jack Conley, and they're both, like I said, Bill Duke is just one of those guys like. He looks drawn for the film.
I don't know what it is about me. I hate internal affairs shit. I'm so tired of it.
It's a little easy.
It's just, I'm done. I don't want to watch movies about dirty cops that like are trying to. It's stupid. I don't want to see it anymore. And this is 1999.
I know.
I'm done with it. I don't want to see this shit. And then like they end up showing up later, internal affairs, and like.
Well, I like how he set them up, but it still was like, how stupid are you guys? One, you're dealing with a guy who has nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So maybe take a few more steps here to get him to do what you want, instead of just being like, hey, we got a dead body, and that's going to be on you, Porter.
Yep.
It's like, he doesn't fucking care. He'll disappear.
No,
He's a ghost already.
He's just trying to get through this. He just wants the. Again, Payback does it differently, where revenge is second. He wants his money. In all the other, in Point Blank and in the book, he's going after this guy. The money is secondary. He's frothing with fucking revenge to get this guy who crossed him and Lynn, his wife. So this like thing where he's just all about the money and leaves him alive. Anyway, then he ends up he's trying to look for this call girl he once drove for named Rosie. She had an in with the outfit. He's thinking she'll be a good way to find Val.
Yeah, she's like a high-class hooker for the outfit.
Another difference between these cuts is in the theatrical cut, he goes to see another hooker that tells him to go to this hotel where there's this bartender who sets up these dates.
Yeah, I found that kind of weird in the director's cut where he just shows up asking for the bartender. I'm like, how did you make that connection?
This is one of the things in the theatrical cut that I think is needed because it's
that hooker scene's funny too.
It's in the book. I don't know if he has a photograph at that point. But he does say he's Rosie's brother, and he's looking for her. He's sick. He's terminal. He wants to find her.
And the hooker's funny. She's like, "You're sick."
It works. And again, it adds context to the next scene where he goes to this,
very much
this bar. And again, he doesn't like when people try to get in the way, like try to be cutesy or like. He goes in, puts money on the counter, goes, I'm looking for a girl. He's like, people are, typically a little more careful. I forget how he says it.
Usually these matters are conducted with more discretion.
Be discreet now.
He just takes that open bar thing and slams it down on the guy's hand. Yeah, great. This is the Parker stuff I like.
Yes.
This really great.
Force of nature stuff.
But as this is happening, we see Val meets up with Stegman at this cafe to let him know, like, hey man, this guy was asking about you. What's his name? Like, this is where he starts to find out. I do
like this part. Greg Henry's real good about when David Paymer goes, yeah, he called himself Porter, and he's just the way he looks at him. He's like, what? Like it's
great. His stupid hair.
I know. Greg Henry's good, man.
Yeah.
His role is a little written too stupid and broad.
Yeah.
But he's good. And he's good later when he's like really nervous in front of Carter. But we'll get to that.
Yeah.
I mean,
so he finds out that this guy's after him. He's trying to figure out where this guy could be, if it is him. This is when we are introduced to this dominatrix that he's involved with, played by Lucy Liu.
I know,
who
dude.
I like her.
Oh, she's fine.
She's great.
I love. You ever hear the whole thing with Bill Murray?
No.
So
Is it Charlie's Angels?
yeah, it's
something
the
happened?
reason he didn't come back for the second one was he fucking she hated. They hated
believe
each
it.
other.
Yeah.
And I remember he was like, the three of them were lined up, and he was like, he pointed to like Drew Barrymore, Cameron Diaz. He's like, you can act, you can act. He's like, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Like, they hated each other, apparently. I have no issue with her. With the exception of, like I said, I don't know why she's billed as Lucy Alexis Liu. It's very strange. Her name's so good, Lucy Liu.
Yeah.
It's alliterative.
Yeah.
Lucy Liu.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
And she's doing this quasi-Chinese accent. And like I was going to say, I know it's real. I know dudes get into this and go to dominatrixes and stuff.
This is comical.
It just seems. It's just unreal.
It's a parody. It's
like
comical.
To get punched and
Dude,
stuff. Like, what?
It's so stupid. And this is another character from the. It turns out that like the reason they're able to track down Val in the book is because he stiffs his fucking call girls. He doesn't pay them enough. So they're aware that there's this fucking scummy guy that works for the outfit that doesn't pay. Like he's very easily traceable because he's just a fucking asshole.
Right.
But here it's like this whole thing of like we're playfully really hitting each other. It's like from the Naked Gun. It's just it's so
It's really dumb. It's really stupid.
But I guess as we find out later, she was in on this heist with the Chinese.
she's
She's one of
in
them.
the triad.
But I guess she pointed him in the right direction to like where this drop will be. It's kind of alluded to.
I get. Oh, okay.
You know, because at the end they come that they're after.
Right. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah.
So he ends up very easily finding him. Porter comes in while he's with this hooker, Pearl, and we get a fun moment where they're both beating on him. You know, it's like whatever. And this is where he gets information about, well, I want my money. All right, well, I had to buy my way back in. This whole heist was a reason because he fucked up. He lost money that was owed to the outfit.
Right.
He did this heist so he can pay back money just to get back in. And that's the money that Porter wants. And he's explained to him why this is hard. There's this guy in charge. There's this guy in charge. You have to go here. In the book, and even in Point Blank, once Parker gets that information, he has no more use for Val.
Yeah.
He kills him.
Right.
The fact that he leaves him alive here, it makes no sense. It's stupid. I'm glad we get more of the character in the movie because he's portrayed in a fun way.
Sure.
But
One thing in this scene, this idiotic scene, two things I like. I like when they first wake up, and this is just like characters knowing their world, is when Porter just like turns the Lucy Liu character and just goes, "You look like a professional. Keep your mouth shut."
Yeah.
And she does.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone knows.
and he goes to reach for the gun. He's like, I already took it out.
Yeah,
It's like-
everyone knows what the score is here. I also like in the director's cut, they don't keep playing "Ain't That a Kick in the Head" as if it's on the soundtrack. Man, it was killing me in the theatrical cut.
'cause again, I watched the director's cut prior. The Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra stuff, I don't think that's in there, right?
It starts. Like when he reaches for it, it starts, but then it's like fades
But
out.
the theatrical cut, it closes with...
Da-da, da-da.
It's a Dean Martin song, yeah. I don't
Ain't
know
that
if
a kick in the head?
No, it's
Ain't
You're
That a-
Nobody to Somebody Loves
It's
You.
Ain't That a Kick in the Head, dude.
In this scene, yes. The movie closes with You're Nobody Till Somebody
does it?
Loves You, yes.
Oh, I don't know if in
Yeah.
the director's cut it did.
No, I don't think it does, because you would remember this.
Maybe. Yeah, I did just watch it.
Anyway,
Stupid stuff.
yeah, stupid stuff. We do get a scene that does take place in the novel that I really like. It's when he first gets wind of the fact that Parker's after him, and he goes to meet with the head, who's in this played by William Devane.
Carter.
Yeah.
Who's great in this.
Excellent.
Slimy.
Excellent.
The teeth. And
Everything about the character.
He's perfect.
Everything about how it's portrayed with you got this bodyguard stuff, it's taken right from the book, except this scene takes place before Parker catches him. So it makes it a little more like he's already worried. Before he even shows up, he's going to his bosses like, hey, there's a guy. Like, I like that.
Right.
He's that worried about him. So it happens after he knows he's been confronted by him. Kind of works, but here's another huge difference in these cuts is that in the director's cut, it's just a voice is the person he communicates with.
Well, no. Are we still talking about Val or when Porter gets there?
When Porter gets there later, but I'm just saying
Oh, okay. Yeah,
there's
right.
a difference in the way these scenes are structured. But yeah, they essentially, William Devane's character is Carter. He tells him that, you know, we want to see how you deal with this. Because if you can handle this, you're going to show us what a viable asset you are. Like, they've already invested money in this guy. Like, they kind of want to see how he handles it. They don't want him staying at the Outfits Hotel, though, because they don't want trouble around there. It's kind of like that John Wick hotel, you know? It's like
Sure,
you don't want to...
right.
So they send him to he's going to go stay somewhere else. And then this is where you have,
Maria Bello.
well, no,
Because all the scenes with
no,
them,
I
man,
think it's
is
before.
like
I think
such
it's
a
before
drag.
that we get this scene where he sets up Porter with these Chinese. There's a difference in the cuts where he calls Pearl on the phone and she's got a guy hanging upside down with a gag in his mouth,
Right.
Which were just really hammered in this dominatrix shit.
So funny.
But it's the thing. It's like not. I could be wrong, but I don't think all dominatrix stuff is like that. There's more subtle, like this like, gagged upside down, tortured. I don't know.
It's
so
it's over the
tired.
top. Yeah, it's just not funny.
But that's where
It's contrived.
correct me if I'm wrong here, but he's like hiding behind a building, Val, and Porter comes walking down the street, and the Chinese people hit him with a car.
Yes.
How did he know that?
They said he called Pearl and was like, "Hey, are your boys back in town?"
Right, but how did he know that Porter was going to be there at that
Porter
place?
said, "Meet me here with the money at noon
Okay.
tomorrow."
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So they end up running him over. They're about to, I guess, castrate him with this fancy knife thing they got
On a street in broad
when
daylight.
our two cop friends show up, who now they want to work with him.
They know he's after something, and they think it's $250,000. I don't know why. And they're like, "No, that's ours. And if you're nice, we'll give you a piece."
Yeah, they've got Stegman with them, I think.
No,
Or
not yet.
at this point.
Not yet. Which I don't know why they start
why he keeps
carrying him
coming back.
around.
So
Again, you want Paymer in the movie. I understand that, but
it's adding unneeded stakes onto this guy's quest. Because now you have the Chinese gang is after him. It's just stuff that's not needed. It's just a guy who's trying to get back the money that was owed to him.
in a
It's
way,
nothing more than that. It shouldn't be anything more
The
than that.
Chinese triad makes a little sense because he initially knocked them off. They
Right.
want their money back.
Yeah, but it's
But the cops asking for money, it's like, where, what, huh? Because it's tough. It really stretches, the believability of this. But, now Val thinks
Yeah.
like, okay, but then the cops show up and he's like, fuck.
Yeah. So Porter ends up, again, from this bartender, he got the information on this girl, Rosie. He shows up at her place. Even she thought she was dead. This is Maria Bello, who I typically like in things.
Absolutely. She's a fine actress.
Local gal. She's from
Yes,
this neck of the woods.
indeed.
Pennsylvania.
No, she's good. You ever see History of Violence?
Yeah.
Fantastic
She's
movie.
excellent in everything.
Yeah, she's good.
She had the unfortunate, I guess, role to like fill the Rachel Weisz role in The Mummy, the third Mummy movie.
Did she
Yeah,
really?
she plays the
I never saw that one.
Brendan Fraser's.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she
Huh.
ends up playing that role. Not very well. Not a good role for her. But yeah, she's this, high class kind of call girl who he used to drive around. She now has this massive dog named after him that kind of protects her, which is another discrepancy in these cuts. Another thing that's differently done in the cuts. But there's this scene, man. The dialogue is like so laughably bad here, where he is like, well, why did you end things or something? And he's like, well, I didn't. After we did, I had to take you to your next gig. And she's like, you could have asked me to quit. It's just like, ugh.
I know.
What are we doing
What
here?
are we doing here? You're a hooker, I'm a driver.
Again, he's just this guy. This emotional attachment doesn't work. But I guess Val had seen him go into this building, so he knows he's got something going on here. And she's giving him information. He's like, you got to move now. So it's really getting complicated. There's a movie moment in this scene that's so stupid. I couldn't stop thinking about it. He leaves, right? Porter. And she hears a knock at the door. She's like, oh, Porter, what'd you forget? She opens it. It's Val.
Yeah.
And he, kicks the door
sure.
open, throws her down.
Of course.
There's no peephole on the door. It's this gorgeous apartment building.
Oh, there's no doorman?
There's no doorman. I don't think. I mean, he just found her. There's no peephole. Why?
no peephole.
There's
I
no
thought you said
peephole. No, there's no peephole. She just opens the door. Oh, Porter, you're back.
Yeah,
Lazy stuff, man. This is a woman that's supposed to be very cautious about her security and everything. She's got this big dog. She's opening her front door like that. She can't even attempt to look and see who it is.
Yeah. You have a chain on it, you think at the very least. But yeah, he comes in, he's roughing her up. Where's Porter? She's like, the doctor's going to be, he's like, how banged up is he? Because he just got hit by the car.
Right. This is a needless scene, though, because this is exactly what could have happened when he first catches Val.
It's needless. Also,
it's the same scene.
I will say this is a weird difference between, I rolled my eyes in the theatrical cut. I was like, really? She goes, oh, he's in the bedroom. And, he goes in, he's getting ready to shoot him. All right, Porter, you're dead. The dog, Porter, jumps from under the covers and mauls him. Mm-hmm. He shoots the dog in the head.
Yeah.
Now, in the director's cut, the dog dies.
Yeah.
And Helgeland even said, he's like, that won me no fans at the studio. He's like, that was probably one of the reasons they were like, fuck this guy. Like, but I'll give him that. Everyone says you don't kill a dog in a movie. People want to... The fucking theatrical cut, because then he moves later, the next scene... Porter moves her to some other hotel or something, right? The dog's got a fucking bandage around his stomach. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, it's like in Looney Tunes when Bugs Bunny gets like shot with a shotgun and has like a bandage on.
The dog clearly gets shot in the head too.
Yeah, and whimpers and
dies.
Yeah.
So I was like, dude, that is so dumb. But yeah, Porter comes back. I forgot my cigarettes.
Yeah. Again, though, but this whole scene just could have taken place in that original confrontation. It's very, very needless. This is where he ends up telling him, all right, I'll tell you where to go. Well, here's where Carter is. He gives him all the information of where these guys are.
Carter, Fairfax.
Correct.
Yeah.
So in the theatrical cut, yes, like you're saying, the dog lives. And I don't think any of this, like Porter's safe house, makes it into the director's cut. He has this safe house that they also know about. And there's a bomb in it that's hooked up to his telephone.
Right.
An old rotary telephone.
So when he gets him in there, the phone's ringing. She's like, oh, let me answer. He's like, no.
Yeah.
Looks under the bed.
Because there's another scene when after Val leaves the Carter's office, in the theatrical cut, Carter and his bodyguard or whoever, they have like a little conversation about what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. And this is the follow-up to that. They somehow find out where he lives. They put a bomb in there, and they're calling it. And he answers the phone. The whole place is going to blow. This is a scene that, I don't know, it's kind of a really good Parker moment to me. When the phone's ringing, he looks out the window and sees this car. Next thing we know, we see a close-up shot of fuel being cut underneath the car. And they're like, oh, he's probably banging there. They're probably celebrating. We'll call back in a little bit.
They look in the mirror and he's just standing
there. Smoking a cigarette in the rearview mirror, and he's behind us. And then he just, slow motion tosses the cigarette. I love this moment.
I missed that in the director's cut.
Yeah, I did too.
I really missed it. I was like, oh, come on. I like that
That's
part.
a good moment.
Yeah.
It's silly. It's like, I think the original, he didn't want to do like explosions and Hollywood type stuff, but it's such a...
Come on.
I know. And Mel's just so cool the way he does it.
It's a very good scene. I missed that whole bomb shit in the director's cut. I thought it was... as the movie ended, I was like, oh, none of that's in here?
Right.
I'm like, oh, come on. But yeah, so he eliminates those guys, keeps the bomb armed.
It's going to come back later.
Yes.
But now he knows where Carter is, so he shows up to Carter's office, takes out his guards in a second, is
pretty good with the penny roll in the hand.
Just, he's so good at being completely in control of the situation.
I guess we should mention here, too, before he goes in to the Carter's office, he goes to like a newspaper, like a thingy, dispenser stamp. The fuck do you call those things?
Yeah.
And this is so stupid to me. He's going to hide because he's going to get frisked when he goes in there. So he's going to hide his giant Magnum under a couple papers.
Right.
As if no one else is going to buy a paper.
Right.
But thankfully, the two cops pull up with Stegman. Why? I don't know.
Coincidence.
But they're like, hey, go in there and get our money. And he's like, well, now he takes the gun, as he sees them, he takes the gun back out of the newspaper thing.
They also never got, like, those whole things, we're not really in use anymore, but, like, they were predicated on, what, goodwill?
Kind of.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we live in a very low trust society these days.
No, but because I was even reading that,
you pop a quarter and you could take the whole stack if you
original,
want it.
Coke machines used to be that way. You would put a coin and open it up, and there was nothing stopping you from taking more than one. I'm like, man, we used to be just a nice society that
we used to live in a society, Jerry. Anyway, we should also mention when the cops do save him from the triads, he lifts Bill Duke's badge.
That's right.
So he's got that badge. Now he's like, hey, can you guys hold on to this gun for me while I go in there? They're like, sure, Porter. Anything, buddy. I want to like these two, man.
I know, because it's him having, like, the backing of police officers kind of to help him get away with some shit is kind of an interesting angle.
Yes.
But it doesn't really amount to much.
No, it doesn't. So anyway, he goes in, he keeps the roll of pennies, and he kind of, it's going to help you knock the guards out.
Yeah.
Carter, William Devane. Very good, Porter. Very good, very impressive. Like, take a seat. He does. He sits down. I love this scene.
Well, this is a different, not structured the same way in both cuts, but there's a notable difference in that. Fairfax, is that the name of the?
Fairfax is James Coburn.
I don't want to get it mixed up because
Bronson's the top dog.
Mm-hmm. And
because Porter goes, look, I want my money. And Carter goes, look, that's not how it works. Like, it goes to committee. He's like, no. He's like, no, you go high enough, there's always one guy.
Yeah.
And this is where, in the director's cut, Carter goes, one girl. Because it's Sally Kellerman's voice.
Yeah, it's just a voice. We never see her. I like what it does in this sense where, like, because I think the book, if I remember correctly, does it similar, but you never really see the head. You hear him on the phone. He tries to, but eventually he just can't keep up with him. But yeah, you don't really need to put a face to this person. But in the theatrical cut, I guess it's reshot. They reshot all this.
This is after Helgeland's gone.
Yeah, to be Chris Christopherson, which is, he's fine in the role.
I love when he goes, he's talking to Porter on the phone and he goes, what are you going to do if I don't give you your money? He's like, well, I'm going to shoot Carter. And he thinks he's bluffing. So he goes, he's still babbling.
Yeah.
And Porter's just like, are you going to give me my money? And I love how Christopherson just goes, no. Like, I love his no. And then, boom, he shoots Carter right in the heart.
I will say, I like the scene a bit more when just you hear the guy, you don't see his reaction. You don't see her reaction. I mean, she's on the phone. I just like that it's just, she can't tell what's going on. I like that.
She's too breathy
Yeah,
for
I
me.
get it.
They should have got, like, Kathleen Turner.
But all I'm saying is I think this scene could have just been his voice too. I don't think you need to cut to the reaction shots of him.
Well, obviously you have more of him in the theatrical cut. So
a whole other thing happens here where, so he ends up killing Carter, and
it's funny the way he dies in the theatrical cut. You can't see me, but he puts his arm up like he doesn't do that in the director's cut. He dies a little more naturally, but it's so he dies so dramatically in the theatrical. But I really liked how and it's still debated who did the reshoots.
I heard, there's been some
like two jobbers that like, it doesn't, I don't know, it's up in the air kind of.
Yeah, apparently Terry Hayes was ordered to do some rewriting on this, and I guess there was, a second director came in. I think Paul Abascal claims he directed new scenes for this. I don't know who.
Yeah, there's no real definitive answer, it seems like. But I like the way the Christopherson shot of, no, like I like it.
It's good. I mean, but
and his stupid son, because his son just got a Ferrari for his birthday.
This is stupid. But I will say what I love in both of these versions is James Coburn as Fairfax, who's the other boss of this company.
Could have used more of a man.
Yeah. This is right from the book where he's getting back from a vacation. He's being called back into this shit because Carter's dead, so now he's got to come back. He catches him as he's coming in with his luggage. He's just great. He's so perfect good in this role.
Perfect.
You just signed your own death warrant for $130,000. I don't get that. What is it? The principal or something, huh?
No. I just want my money back.
That's just mean, man.
Yeah.
He shoots his luggage.
One of his last, I believe, film performances, too. He died in 2002, so it was one of his final. But this is not like Parker to me, where he doesn't really get personal with the people he's dealing with. But in here, Porter decides he's going to kidnap Bronson's son to hold his leverage, and does it pretty easily at this boxing match, using Rosie to play the part of this, seducting.
I'm a gift from your father.
In the
Happy
limo,
birthday.
ends up chaining him up. They take him.
See, I didn't mind this. I was reading Helgeland was saying, he's like, I didn't like this because Porter takes an innocent and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Once again, it's that collateral damage thing.
See, but I'm agreeing with him.
Helgeland.
That Parker doesn't ever make it personal.
It's not personal. It's leverage.
I know, but he still doesn't.
It's a chip. It's a piece on the table. It doesn't matter who it is. Who gives a shit? The kid's not innocent anyway. He's the son of a crime lord.
Yeah,
Fuck
that's true.
him.
All right.
It was so bizarre to me. It's the same thing when he suffocates the secretary in the book. Oops.
Yeah.
Fine.
I guess.
Fuck this kid.
But
kid's a rat.
This is
whole family's rats.
They take him. So Rosie's got him chained up at the new safe house. There's a second safe house they're in. And this is it's kind of a cool scene with Mel, because the push comes to shove, everything happens at once. The Chinese show up. The Internal Affairs shows up at the cops. There's this big shootout. But him going under the car with shooting the bullets.
He
up
had the unlimited ammo cheat code for
exactly. And they're just they happen to miss him every possible way. Stegman being used as a bullet shield in the back of his taxi cab. You want to see him get his comeuppance finally.
David Paymer being riddled with bullets is always nice.
And then him escaping without getting a hit at all. it's just one of these action movie scenes that this movie benefits from to a certain extent.
I think I preferred the theatrical cut ending because what happens is, then finally it's like Chris Christopherson as Bronson shows up with his little boy, his bodyguards or whatever. He's like, I want my son. That's his main thing, obviously. Right. And what I liked is the whole organization is destroyed in the theatrical cut. Like they go into the place, phone's ringing. I wonder if that's Porter.
Wait, before you get there.
Okay. Am I getting ahead of it?
It's really funny. So, Bronson is just like, you've taken my son, like, I'm coming after you. This is no longer the simple, you're not getting your money, you're dead. They end up taking him to this warehouse where they torture him.
Yeah.
This little piggy moment, I don't know, it's kind of ridiculous, but they bash the shit out of his toes. Mm-hmm. They throw him in the back of a car and they're like, give us the address. He gives them the address of supposedly where his son's being held.
Right.
Now, if you've seen, I think, is it Dark Knight? One of these movies, the classic scene of you think they're going to a location that they're not going. Mm-hmm. I called it from a mile away.
Of course.
So
it's very obvious what's happening.
But Mel Porter escapes the trunk by clawing his way through.
Did you think the same thing?
Yeah,
I
it
thought?
had to. The Frank Reynolds crawling through the sofa.
Christmas Sonny.
It's pretty much the exact same.
Dude, it looks the exact same thing,
except he's clothed.
Yeah,
but just him like poking his head through this leather back of the seat.
It's like 1-to-1.
But he comes out so he can make a call, and it cuts, and all of them. You know what this ending is like too? It's like Wise Guys.
Yes,
it's the same thing.
Very much.
The entire crime outfit is in this one room. Like, where's the Well, let's all be in here. Even the guards that are standing outside die. Yeah,
but I don't care. It's satisfying. I'm not asking for Shakespeare here.
But the book ends the same, not different. But the scene of him at the subway platform, where there's supposed to be the drop, where he just goes around taking out. That's from the book. It's handled better in the book.
Yeah,
it doesn't quite work as the end of this movie.
I thought it was kind of odd.
It's terrible in the director's cut. It's terrible.
Now he's working with old work prints and stuff. Fine.
I get it.
I'll give him a little.
But it's not a good set piece to end the movie on.
No.
The book, it happens where he leaves the money. He gets picked up by these two cops. It's the whole thing, but it's not. In the director's cut, it's the ending. You don't even know if he's alive still. He gets in Rosie's car, I think, right? Rosie picks him up after the train station, and he gets shot, so he's bleeding out. And in this version, it's the whole thing blows up, and him and her kind of ride off together.
Yeah, go to Canada apparently.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
See, I didn't like the director's cut because he said he had two ways he could have gone with it, and I think he went the wrong way. He had the way where it presumably, Porter gets the money and brings everyone down, which he doesn't really.
Yeah,
but he dies. Mm-hmm. But he's happy because he did what he came to do.
Yeah.
Okay. He also had another ending where he survives, but a homeless guy gets the money. I'm like, that's way better.
Yeah.
That's way better.
Like
and he didn't do that. And I'm like,
it should have been the same homeless guy from that he steals the money from.
That would have been funny.
Yeah.
But it's like, he's like, I really wanted to end it on a smile. Like, the Porter character smile. And I'm like, okay. Like, I didn't like it. I prefer Chris Christopherson exploding, personally.
Yeah, I do too. It's like, didn't he say I got hammered too? He delivers that line.
I think so, yeah.
He's like, what happened to you? I got hammered.
Yeah.
Like, Yeah, I will say, as a filmmaker, Mel understands cinema, but like not in the sense of like this artful, like, no, but he understands crowd-pleasing entertainment.
Right.
And that's the one thing that the difference is, because I was reading up about this
Helgeland
last night.
was trying, I think, being too, I'm going to subvert it.
Yeah, well, because I think that I was doing research on this last night, and it was like I was going on Reddit threads of people arguing about like, which do you like better? And the consensus seemed to be like, the director's cut when it first came out was like hailed as being like, oh, this is great, and it's like
everyone seemed to think it was
like,
better
because it was like we got in that thing where we love just shit that was like ambiguous at the end and dour
or zagged when you thought it was going to zig.
We were really into that at that time, and so I think people were just like. They're like, oh, it's a darker take, that there's less happy.
That.
Yeah, no, for this, I kind of like, because that's how these novels always seem to end. He gets away with it, on to the next thing, and that's kind of how this is set up, even though, they go to breakfast in Canada, whatever, it's fine.
In a weird way, I think Mel kind of understood how it should end at least better.
I agree, yeah.
I don't know.
The man knows movies.
I preferred that ending, as easy as it was. It's like you said, let's all go in the room together. It's like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, no. It's like Wise Guys. It really is. Like Captain Lou.
It really was, man. But
he's dead. Fuck him. Poo.
yeah. All in all, no, it's all right film. It's kind of a good flick.
How would you? It's certainly not the worst Parker adaptation.
No, I guess that would be The Split.
But I will. Yeah. I mean, I didn't say it, but
And
from
Parker with
believe what you said.
Statham, like I liked it, but is it Parker? Like kind of.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like I don't. Parker's not to me like. He's not doing like
Yeah.
kickboxing moves and stuff. I don't know, but you have
There's a
Statham. You
couple
kind of have to do that.
Of like movies Mel made when he made the comeback. Like,
Oh, dude, you ever see Get the Gringo?
that was what I was going to bring up. I haven't
Fucking
seen it,
movie
but
is
all right,
phenomenal.
I'll check it out.
Oh,
It's probably what I hope this would be.
dude, yeah, it's
Edge of Darkness is another one.
I didn't see that. I heard it was pretty good.
Get the Gringo. I'll check it out.
It's Parker-esque. Like he's operating. He's in this jail in Mexico, and he's just Dude, it's fucking awesome, man. That's a great movie.
And unlike other movies we talk about, I mean, this opens number one. It's just, it was a huge, I think, President's Day weekend. Around then it comes out. Like, it does well. Critically, it does okay. I have a review here from Stephen Holden of the New York Times, who says, its smirking sense of humor and generic self-consciousness suggests that Payback would like to think of itself as a hip descendant of Pulp Fiction, but the movie is utterly devoid of narrative and visual and dramatic flair.
Little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting to...
It has its moments.
Yeah.
But you can tell, beyond, losing your director for reshoots, like wanting to retool it, it suffers from that.
Again, the thing I have to give Mel credit for is that he allows him to go back and complete his vision.
And apparently
he makes it right.
It was just an email. He said, look, Helgeland emails him and goes, hey, can I do this? And 15 minutes later, he goes, yeah, go for it. So you got to give them both credit. Helgeland seems to be like, dude, water under the bridge, whatever. Because come on, how pissed would you be over that? Like,
we see a lot of that today.
I think it was his first directing gig, too. I could be wrong about that, but... Mel's probably a bit humbled.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was then.
No, maybe not yet, but he was definitely...
By the way, I could care less. Because I was looking at it, I'm like... Couldn't, thank you. How many times am I going to do that? It's never going to... I'm too dyslexic. But I looked into it, I'm like, what did Mel do that was wrong? He said bad words. And honestly, I have a real soft spot for guys that get drummed out of Hollywood. I do. I really do. It's like an underdog thing. It's just like, dude, Matthew Broderick killed people.
Yeah.
Like, does anyone fucking know that? Like, he killed people. People are dead. He ruined I'm not saying he did it on purpose, but he killed people. Alec Baldwin's walking around. He's probably finished. He finished the movie he killed a woman on. That's cold.
He's got a TLC reality show coming out.
It's fucking, we're going to The Family Man, Alec Baldwin. Like, it's crazy. These men have killed people, but I guess Matthew Broderick still looks like Ferris, so he gets a pass. Meanwhile, Mel said some bad words, and he's done. That's fucked up.
Mad Mel. Mel just got a little mad.
We have a weird view of things, man, on a scale of...
Well, the attitude I also take is that no one should be judged for the rest of their career on their worst day. And it's...
Yes, especially when you're... Look, when he got pulled over by that cop and was like ranting about the Jews and all that stuff, he was drunk.
Yeah.
And he was a drunk.
Yeah.
I think he's sober now.
Yeah.
But come on, dude. Your worst day and you're drunk? Look, you go, I'm sorry. You go, okay, mea culpa.
Yeah. And again, humans, some of us are pieces of shit. Sometimes it comes out. You can still enjoy the art that was made by that person.
I still love Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
It's a great film.
But again, that's another thing. It was an accident. The guy had was in a different country on the wrong side of the road. He fucked up. The idea
I don't want to get in legal trouble here.
The idea that all these people it's just, let's judge them based on a really fucking horrible thing that happened in their lives, a really split, terrible decision they made at one point. As long as they show us they're willing to move past it and move on, why are we still no, you deserve forever to stay in this corner and never come out?
It's unbelievable. Meanwhile, all these motherfuckers look the other way on Weinstein and God knows how many other people. So it's I have no tolerance for it when it's just words.
Right. Just thank God that the classic movie stars didn't have social media.
It's incredible.
Do you know how it would be canceled? All of them. All of them. All of them.
All of them.
All of them. Bob Hope. Do you think he had kind views on everyone?
There's an incredibly funny... Comedy Central used to play it all the time. It was it's called Critics' Choice, I believe. It's the stand-up special for Dana Carvey, and he's doing a lot of these old Hollywood guys. And he's doing Jimmy Stewart with a hooker, and he's like, "Yeah, well, why don't you take it out of my pants? Like, just shit like, it's so funny,
I think
man.
he was one of the only ones that was probably pretty
You think Jimmy
clean.
was on
I think
the
Jimmy
line?
was clean, but
Might
I
have
think the
been.
rest of them were just...
A war hero.
We're just like degenerates.
Come on.
You know? And it's just... the thing about Michael Richards was that was like the start of this, everything's being filmed.
Yes.
That was really the
Yeah,
start
why
of that.
was anyone filming in a comedy club
Right.
to begin with?
Terrible, like, cell phone quality,
Yeah,
you know?
yep.
So it was like... And then
Yep.
the apology, that was a big thing. And
I talked about it last episode, is that, you know, everyone's got this nostalgia for the 90s, and I think it's misplaced, except for you weren't on camera at all times. You're on camera at all times these days, and it's suffocating. It's terrible.
Candid camera.
But I mean, how can any, there's no, how can you need a chance to fail.
Yeah.
And make an ass of yourself and not have it replayed endlessly forever and that be your legacy. Like, that sucks as a performer and an
does.
artist. It
It
fucking
does.
blows.
Yeah.
You're going to get people not willing to take chances.
Well, like you said, Mel, you know, just got drunk, got a little mad, which ties into what we'll be talking about, which is the Mad Max movies.
Indeed.
Which, a little tease for Patreon. Just real quick, you had seen any of them before?
Dude, funny enough, I have never seen the first three.
Oh my gosh.
So
we're
I
going to
was-
have a great discussion.
Yeah, I was
can't wait.
happy to watch them.
So that's going to be at Patreon, patreon.com/almostcultclassics.
It's $5, you stingy bastards. Just sign up. Take a look. You might like it.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting discussion. But next time on the show, since you made me watch a lot of Australian movies we'll be talking about.
All right.
I want to do Ishtar, which is notorious as one of the biggest bombs of all time.
God, when I was growing up, that was like almost at the top of every list of flops.
Ruined the career of the great Elaine May, as far as I'm concerned. She was directing a lot up to that point. Some of my favorite comedy films are stuff she's directed, including New Leaf and The Heartbreak Kid, the original Heartbreak Kid. So I'll watch some of that stuff. Mikey and Nikki, I think, is the other one.
Yep.
And then we're going to talk about Ishtar to see how bad can it be, I think, is my mentality with it.
Yep.
And maybe we'll hate it, but... The trailers are rough. I watched some of the trailers. I'm like, I don't know if these two... It seems like there's no self-awareness between the two of them. So that'll be next time on the show. We're going to keep these mics rolling to talk about the Mad Max movies over on Patreon. To those of you who support us over there, we will see you over there. And to those of you who don't, maybe you'll consider supporting us for next time.
Thanks for listening.